how do you enable and empower everyone around you? Because that's going to be the biggest task I feel you have. Even though I feel like, yo, can you put up a clip of everybody clapping for her, please, Tito? I felt like I was at my funeral and like her inauguration. Did you feel that way, Tito? Was it just me?
No, it's just you.
Tito, bullshit.
This is our first meeting, I think, as a unit with our new CEO, CJ Bachmann. So
Yeah.
Woo!
Let's get it! But how do you empower everyone around you? 'Cause that's going to be a challenge. I think maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
A biggest quote that I think that I say anytime anybody asks me for a quote is that I lead by example. And one thing that I can say, and I can say this confidently, and this is not ego talking, this is truly my own personal confidence, I will never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't be willing or able to go and do myself.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Everyone, I'm excited. I have CJ Bachmann, and we're interviewing her today. Today's her first day on the job as a woman CEO. Scratch that, just CEO of One SEO that happens to be a woman. Couldn't be prouder. CJ, welcome to the den. I actually think it's the first time I'm interviewing you ever.
It is the first time you're interviewing me. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Welcome to the den.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, so first of all, everyone, CJ, tell everyone who you are real fast. So viewers that don't know you, besides having probably the coolest ex-brother-in-law, brother-in-law in the world.
So I am CJ Bachmann. I have been here at One SEO for 9 years. Have the pleasure of being your sister-in-law, ex-sister-in-law, whatever we want to say there. But
It's
hey,
all
that's
family,
it is.
baby.
It's all family. But yeah, I started out at the company as a project manager. I had sales and marketing as my background and spent a lot of time there. And you and Jolynn just kind of took over my life with the constant questions in One SEO. So I figured it's absorbing everything anyway, so I might as well join the family. And that's kind of how I got here.
So first and foremost, we work, and there's going to be a no holds bars interview because I think you'd handle it after you handled me for the last 10 years you've been here. Actually,
Bring it
that's
on.
okay.
Bring it on.
We're in a predominantly male CEO industry, probably 90% plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you walk into PubCon, MozCon, all these places I speak at, and now you're running a 100+ organization, one of the biggest digital agencies in the country?
Right.
How do you walk in? Tell me how you stroke your folks that day.
You know what? I think it's just a matter of how you're raised and kind of the mindset that you go into it with. I was raised to believe that I could do anything that my male counterparts could do. I wasn't, raised any differently being a girl. So when I look at what I do, I have to prove myself. That means I do have to work harder than a lot of men in the industry because at the end of the day, I want to be respected for the role that I'm in. I want people to know why I'm here and that I deserve to be here. So I don't really look at it as woman versus man. I just look at it as I have to work a little extra harder for the attention.
So people are going to think that this job was just given to you. I don't know, I would think that, but that's just what people just think because you have the last name Bachman, but they don't understand the whole backstory. So I'm going to ask you a question. I remember you crying, right? There's no holds bars. I told you that. I'm not going to bullshit here because people got to understand what it takes. You crying, sitting at, I think it's called the Bristol Borough Pub. I don't know if you remember this day.
Yep.
And you were saying, Lance, I don't think I can handle this. It was probably almost 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago to this date.
Yep.
And you were like, this is just too much. You're too hard on me. You demand too much. And I told you, CJ, one day you're going to be CEO of this organization. And we knew, and we talked about it prior to a year.
Right.
I said, if you want to, I want to like you, hand out fucking ice cream. Did I not?
No, you said it wholeheartedly. Yeah,
I said,
absolutely.
you either stay here and you learn to handle this. What made you stay and what made you not leave? Because at that day, it was the moment of truth for both of us. You were leaving, and I was going to start looking for my replacement.
Yep.
Or I felt like you were the one to take the job. Can you talk to me about your emotions that day?
Yeah, so I stayed just simply because I knew what One SEO was capable of. I knew the foundation that you had put in place, and I knew that it was going to continue to grow, and it was going to do great things. And I wholeheartedly believe what One SEO has been able to do for our employees, the people in the community, the businesses that we work with. The stress of the job is inevitable. We have over 400 clients that run through this store. That means I have 400 bosses, not just you being a pain in my ass every day, but 400 business owners with different mindsets. So I think that in my head that day, it was, am I going to be able to follow you? Am I going to be able to maneuver myself into a position to where I can be who I am as an individual, but also develop into the leader that I need to be to run a 100+ organization?
If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, Follow me at Lance Bachman and Lance Bachman Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. We also have very different personalities. We talked about that day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very direct, to the point, no holds bars. Some people like it, some I don't. I truly don't care what anyone thinks about me. I laugh right when I walk into a room. You're like, how do you do that, Lance? I'm like, I live that life.
Right.
You have a very different personality. You don't care so much what people think of you as much, but you're a lot softer of a touch. Can you talk about how we had that discussion and you made me bend and say, Lance, I'm not going to be you? Because you did.
Well, for no holds barred.
No doubt. Hey,
I
listen.
walked into that meeting that day after being told to get out. So like you said, we have very different personalities, and you and I have always been able to counterbalance one another. So what I add to One SEO that I think was kind of missing as you were growing is you're a hardcore salesperson at heart. You have a mission and you're just one thing after another. And I have this ability to kind of really relate to the employees that we have here and really kind of understand, even though I might not necessarily agree with how they feel or what they're going through or where they're at in their lives, I still can relate to them and I can provide that empathy and be able to maneuver that situation. Whereas I think that was something that you didn't have time for, or a skill set that maybe you don't have to be able to have that. Yeah. So that's, I always tell people when they say, hey, how do you work with Lance? And I'm like, I'm the counterbalancer. Like, he needs someone like me in his life to be able to go behind him and make sense of your chaos.
Here's the next question. You worked hard, you've earned it, right? There's people out there that don't think you deserve this job. And I've always said this to people, right? You're entitled to your opinion. But what would you say to somebody that said that to you? What would you say? How many hours have you worked here?
How many hours?
Yeah,
on
a typical day.
A typical day, I mean, in the office, you're going to be anywhere from 9 to 10, and then you've got probably 4 to 6 more hours, after work where you're responding and going through things. Anyone that doesn't understand how I got here or why I'm here or think that I don't deserve it, I just say, come work with me for a little bit. Come to my revolving door. Come answer the questions that come, past my desk. You'll very easily be able to change your tune.
A lot has changed, right? A lot has changed in our industry. You've seen One SEO change. What do you think is some of the biggest changes have you seen here at One SEO in the last few years?
Some of the biggest changes, of course, is going to be the switch to where we really started hyper-focusing on our verticals. We always talked about verticals, but we've kind of been the company that if you need us, we're there. And we've really taken a lot of backseat to some of the verticals that we don't feel that are a best fit for our agency. And we really work with clients that we know that we've developed a true and tried program that is going to benefit them. We've also done a lot with automation technology, which, I know is something true and dear to your heart that's going to be coming down the pike. But our product has continuously gotten better. The people that come in, the trainings that we do, the way that we really put the client first. And a lot of agencies don't do that. It's like, come in, we're going to click the buttons, we're going to check off the boxes, and that's not how One SEO is. So the biggest change is going to be the automation, the artificial intelligence, as well as just the push on the verticals that we know we can drive to success.
Like any true leader, no holds bars, and it's not going to hurt my feeling. Tell me a few of the things that's on your agenda to change by 2022 that I had in place that you're stripping away or changing.
Yeah.
Feel free to go. No holds bars. Let it rip.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I want to focus on as a leader in the company is creating a place in which employees don't want to use us to pad their resume, don't want to come in and get experience and walk out the door. I want people that want to build this with us. One thing that you and I have struggled with over the past couple of years are the leaders sitting at our table. It's been the same group of individuals that we can rely on, that we can trust in. I want that to change. So I want to really be able to hire the right people and make sure that if someone isn't a fit, that we're able to identify that and we're able to move forward. That's one of my biggest issues as a company, is getting rid of that turnover from an employee standpoint.
I do agree with you on that. So let's talk about, I have a very different way of dealing with clients when they have unrealistic expectations. I'm more of here, pretty much get the fuck out.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see me say it, if your expectations are too high, you're not real, you've been through 3-4 agencies, you're just not a fit for us. I'm a true believer that just makes terrible, a floor that's terrible, right? How are you going to handle that? Because I don't see you saying that to someone.
I don't know if it's that I'm not willing to say that. As anybody that actually knows me, I'm not afraid to open my mouth. And because the employees are so important to me, I don't want employees to have to deal with abusive clients in any nature. I think the biggest difference in how I would handle it is, first and foremost, I would want to identify anything that we did on our end that could be adding to the frustration, trying to really get to the bottom of whether or not it's a difficult client or we created the mess ourselves. And sometimes it's a combination. Sometimes we make a mistake and that puts the client on the wrong path. But the biggest thing is I want to try to make it right. If we can make it right, let's make it right and prove to the client that we can do it different. If not, it's going to be the same as you. Listen, we have a lot of other clients that love us, that we love, that we want to take care of. We don't have time for the garbage.
Let's talk about this. A true CEO, which you are now, congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of people work a lifetime never to get to your level, right? But people don't understand the stress of that. Your compensation now is tied to the company's P&L.
Yep.
Your compensation is tied to the gross profit of the company.
Yep.
Your compensation, if we ever sell, is tied to the growth of the company.
Yep.
So, like, you have no more raises except for the growth of the organization.
Absolutely.
Is that pressure? I mean, like, I'm curious to how that, because it's every employee out here is going to get, not every employee, but the majority of good ones are going to get a raise. There's bonus structures in place. You're now tied
Yep.
to just pure running and you're running the P&L. It's your job to run it.
Yep. No,
Can you talk about that? Is it different? Are you waking up this morning, September 1st, are you like, was today a little special, a little different, or was it just business as usual?
Part of it is business as usual because, I believe in just coming in and doing my best every single day. The other part of it is really making sure that I'm setting up not just myself, but everybody else here for growth. You're right. They are going to have regular evaluations. They're going to get increases so they can come in and push their buttons. And for me, it is definitely different. So my focus has to be on making sure that I understand what's going right and how do we maximize that, and what's going wrong and how do we correct it. Because at the end of the day, I have 2 children. I have bills just like everybody else. I do want to make sure that I'm able to continue my career both in my position and both from a financial aspect. So it does add an extra layer of pressure.
So let's call it what it is. When me and you first start this journey, probably 3 years ago, when I sat down, I said, listen, You're going to be CEO of this company, right? Some other people in the organization weren't happy with that. Can we talk about, I want to talk about 2 parts of that, right?
Yep.
One, you really didn't understand the P&L that well at that time, right? All things, you knew what it was, but you didn't know the devils of the details. We had to go through that process together, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no denying I'm a people person, so the numbers were definitely the piece that I think you and I have worked on more than anything.
And I'm a numbers person.
Absolutely.
My whole life revolves around numbers, so we'll talk about that.
Yep.
The other part is you had other people that now you're the CEO that you just can't walk in and say, I'm your boss, because we just never acted like that anyway. You saw me, I got confronted for putting on the janitor on something yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So how do you enable and empower everyone around you? Because that's going to be the biggest task I feel you have. Even though I felt like, can you put up a clip of everybody clapping for her, please, Tito? I felt like I was at my funeral and like her inauguration. Did you feel that way, Tito? Was it just me?
No, it's just you.
Tito, bullshit.
This is our first meeting, I think, as a unit with our new CEO, CJ Bachmann. So
Let's get it! But how do you empower everyone around you? 'Cause that's going to be a challenge. I think maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
A biggest quote that I think that I say anytime anybody asks me for a quote is that I lead by example. And one thing that I can say, and I can say this confidently, and this is not ego talking, this is truly my own personal confidence, I will never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't be willing or able to go and do myself. And I think that from your standpoint, I might have it a little bit easier because the majority of the people here know that I started as a project manager. I've been where they were. I've done what they've done. I understand what they've gone through. I didn't have the privilege, not that it was privilege, but I didn't start the company. So people aren't looking at me and being like, okay, well, you can say whatever you want because you started it. No, I started on the ground floor. I made the same amount for like 3 or 4 years.
You actually made less than everyone else. I went back and looked. Do you know what your starting salary was here?
30.
$22,000.
Was it?
That was your starting salary. And then we took you to 30 after 2 months. Your starting salary was $22,500.
That's sad.
Yeah, but look at you now. But this is what people don't realize. It took you 10 years. You weren't this new social media fad of, I worked 90 days and I should run the organization.
Oh, no. I like you talked about tears that day when we sat and talked. There are other people that could tell you that every month there was a 2-week period where I was literally sitting there bawling, it was reporting. Ben, Heather, a couple other people in the organization, they were right there with me. Like, I think we all cried together because it's a lot of work. Like, you're dealing with your clients day in and day out. And so a lot of times what people don't see is that after hours, that's when you're actually doing the work that you need to do for the clients. And that was tough. So again, I go into this confidently because I know what I'm capable of, but I also know where I've been and what I went through to get where I'm at.
Let's talk about this, right? You're very big into culture. And I believe in culture. I'm not saying I don't, but you know, I own other businesses also. And I'm a worker, right? Like you just could put me in this office. I'll give you 15 hours a day. It's just who I am. I've never played pool. I never played basketball out here. I never ping pong, like this. Not who I am, but I understand the new generation is.
Right.
Can you talk to me about why, from my generation to now, the new generation we have on the floor, and you spearheaded the Culture Act here, I'd be the first one to admit that, there's such a shift, and why someone like me has to buy in. And it's probably the reason why you're CEO of the company now, not me any longer.
Well, the reason why you have to buy in is because it's the space that we're in, right? It's here, no matter what. So you have no choice. You either buy in or you lose out on potentially good employees.
Do you think some of the cultural myths, though, are myths, smoke and mirrors, the way people think? Because we've been together.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So
Absolutely.
I'm just curious because people think like, yeah, rah, rah, rah. Like, I always say, like, and you know me, and the first one, you saw me, like you said, I'm a salesperson, right?
Yep.
I came into the sales meeting. I didn't make one other meeting since you've been CEO. That's not being rude.
I got you.
I've been working on lines, reporting, lines logic with Anthony. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
But, you know, I put an incentive out to the sales team because let's hit this number, right?
Yep.
That's a Vegas trip, by the way, if we hit that number,
It
by
is
the
a
way.
Vegas trip.
But the point being is, do you think if people were incentivized by money, if they produced more work, they did new things, they'd work harder, or do you think, no, they just want status quo? I'm asking you that question.
There are some individuals that they are motivated by money. And I think that a good CEO and good leaders are able to identify what's important. We tease you sometimes about being a gold star guy, right? We've got a couple people in here. Bernie, who's also a gold star kind of guy.
Bernie.
Yeah.
That's why we work well together. I'm a gold star guy.
Then you have individuals who are motivated simply by money. Then you have people who are motivated by titles. And I'm not a title person either. But
That's because I groomed you.
Is that what it's from?
I don't have a title.
I don't know. I might give my dad credit for that, but that's okay. But people are different. And I think that each individual is motivated differently. I think the smoke and mirrors does come with the thought that if you have a ping pong table, that it means the office is fun. That's not true. And I still get involved in interviews from time to time. And anybody that I interview, for the most part, when they ask me about the culture, I make sure that I tell them the culture is not the food that's in the kitchen. It's not the basketball court or the ping pong table. The culture is the individuals, and that we all share the same mindset that our clients come first. If we all feel that way, we all work that way, we all act that way, then we're going to have a positive culture because we're all working towards the same goal. That's what culture is to me. The food, the ping pong table, all those stuff, I consider those perks. I don't consider that culture. And I think that's where I differ a little bit from when people think about culture. Culture is important to me, but culture isn't the food. The food is a perk that lets people feel more comfortable in the atmosphere that they're working in.
Here's a question for me. Tell me what your biggest professional accomplishment. I mean, it sounds stupid. Like, what's your biggest professional accomplishment? And I'd expect you to say being named CEO of One SEO, but that's really not what I'm looking for. Tell me what's true and dear to your heart so far since you've been here at One SEO. Like, if you could look back and say, man, I felt really good about this accomplishment. No matter what it may be, I'm just kind of curious.
I think my biggest accomplishment all across the board is that every single one of the directors that we have here inside the company started out as an entry-level employee. I think being able to know that all of those individuals were groomed by you, by me, by Jolynn, by other members of this team, and were able to grow their careers and build a life for them and not just jump from one job to another is super important and sets a huge message. That's culture. Like, that's a big piece.
Give me something nobody knows about you.
Nobody, or maybe just the listeners?
Give me nobody. Let's go with nobody. Let's see how wild we get here today, CJ.
I don't
Don't
know.
go too crazy, though.
I won't. Like, you tease me all the time about my roots. And a lot of people, because I'm here in the Philadelphia area, they don't know where I'm from. And when I say that I'm originally from Florida, they assume it's from the beach. I'm not. I grew up on farms. So I enjoy fishing.
Get a
I
picture of
enjoy
that farm
hunting.
for her.
Yeah. But something that a lot of people don't know about me is I am very, very fond of certain southern foods that we can't really get here. So I love gator tail. I love frog legs. I love to go fish gigging or frog gigging.
The what?
Frog gigging, where you're actually going out and getting it. So I don't think people realize how southern my roots are. There are some people who do, but yeah, see, most people look at me the way that you look at me.
I'm just saying,
it's like swimming with the gators. Like, that's normal. I know. Hold on, Lance. I know this is your interview, but I do have a question for you. You got a moment for me to, a little cross interview here?
Okay.
All right. Since we announced that I'm stepping into the role, I've had a lot of people reach out to me. I know that your phone's been blowing up too. And everybody is curious about what you're going to be doing next. We tried to tell them, but come on, now's the platform. Lay it out there. What are you going to be doing, big guy?
I'm going to be smoking gin and juice with my man Bernie. Now, am I allowed to say that? Yeah, why
No,
not?
you can't smoke
Okay.
gin and juice.
Actually, what I'm going to be doing is working on lines reporting, lines logic, make our artificial intelligence even better, build out the dashboard, make it, it's already state of the art, top of the heap, but now we're just really, with weather reporting we're pulling in, some other data points. I mean, that's really what I'm doing. I'm going to be working on our product more than anything else. And then obviously, I like selling, I like meeting people. Right. Sales team can always bring me in on that. So,
okay. Well, one other question. So, our clients, they know what line reporting is in Line Logic. They've gotten a chance to kind of work with it, play around with it, and they're getting their reporting through it. But for those who are watching this that don't know what it is, throw a little teaser out there. What is it going to do for an agency?
Line reporting is a dashboard, number one. And it has everything in one dashboard. It means your Google AdWords, social media, SEO, your rankings, your website issues. I mean,
call tracking,
everything. I mean, instead of going into 10 different dashboards, your Google Analytics, trying to figure out your Search Console, we literally customized and made it one place called Line Reporting. We have line call tracking, line chats. So we have everything. We can see every lead, your ROI, how much money you're spending, what you're getting back real quick on the first page when you log in. So it's simple, easy. You know what your monthly ROI is. Lines Logic is where we pull in, as you know, if you're in a weather business, you're in HVAC, plumbing, roofing, restoration, where we can see the last 5 years of the local weather, see how your ads worked, and for Facebook or Instagram or Google AdWords, and we can predict your next 10 days out against your job board and fill your jobs so you're constantly filled and you constantly have your text on the road, which is the most important piece. And literally, we can do that for every vertical across the board almost. So, and we're just making it better and better. We can actually look and see what time your phones ring the most, what time you get the most leads, reallocate your money to that time. So I love it. It's what I love doing, and it's only going to get better and better. For someone that's watching, this is the final roar. And I appreciate you being here. I know you got a company to run here. On the final roar, There's going to be a personal question because I believe in diversity. Most people probably don't. You know it's true and dear to my heart, diversity. Yeah. Most people wouldn't think that. They just met me. Think, you know, they'd be like, he's a hardcore Republican, which that's not the case. But on the final roar, what would you say to a young little girl out there that might be dealing with her sexuality? She wants to be a CEO. As everyone knows, you are gay. You're only gay. You don't ever deny it. What would you say to that little girl that's watching this interview? Maybe she's 17 years old, 16 years old. She's not sure how to deal with her sex. Because as we talked about, I don't see the people look at you that way, but they do. Now that you showed me and other people showed me, I see how crazy the world is still. Yeah. What would you say to that young little girl?
Follow your heart. Follow what you feel is your truth. The big thing right now is people telling you to live your truth. And sometimes that's really easy, right? It wasn't easy for me when I first started, especially growing up in the South and having a religious family and having to kind of skirt around all of those things. So I would say to any little girl, you are capable of being anything that you want to be, regardless of who stands in that position before you. And when the time is right and when you are ready, just step into your greatness. Just own it. Like, just step into it. Don't let any of the naysayers keep you from being on the path that you want to be on.
Everyone, that's CJ Bachmann, the new CEO of One SEO. Could not be prouder. She earned it. Dig in, grab some popcorn, because it's going to be a hell of a show she puts on for the next 10, 20 years. Let's effing go, CJ. I look forward to it.
I'm here.